Hello, people. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody from Twitter land. Hello, everybody from YouTube land. Hello, everybody from Google land. Hello, everybody from TV land. And hello, everybody in general. I am so happy to be here again after the Christmas holidays. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and Santa Claus was good to everyone. I appreciate all the kind things that have happened. Nonetheless, considering the hardship that we're all living through, I guess you guys empathize with me as well as I empathize with you, considering that we, all of us that are in a hardship situation, are moving along. I know we're struggling because I'm struggling too. So we're both struggling and we're all moving forward on this. I pray to God that everything moves forward and everybody uh, gets relief. We all get relief, should I say, since I'm in the same boat as you guys are. I just want to say to you guys that this has been a tremendous year, to say the least. We've been hit by a pandemic. We've been hit with controversial situations. Trump has not been of any help because he has been the controversy. He has set himself in the middle of the tornado. And of course, in our analysis, Edmund Hollingsworth and myself, we have looked at the picture and said he has to be in focus. That's his main goal. I'm not sure if his main goal coming up to the presidency, his track record being since 1990, I want to say, 95, having his eyes fixed, doing everything possible to be in the middle of the of the storm, of the eye of the storm, and getting the attraction of the people who are players in this political gamut for him to be thrown into the mist and becoming the president as he did. Like I wrote to Senator John Colin, who was on the floor today, and Bernie Sanders was on the floor today, and a gentleman from Massachusetts was a Brian guy, was from Massachusetts. Richard Durbin from Massachusetts was there, and other senators from Illinois were there, and they were all discussing. Let me use the word discussing. I used in the message conversation, but it was a discussion based on the 2000 that the president said. Now let's take in consideration that when the bill originally began, the whole conversation, let's use the word conversation for the sake of being nice to the situation. When the whole conversation began with Mnuchin and the staff guy, all these people started to get into the swing of things, and they went to Pelosi, and they had all this relief package going on, and the omnibus bill came out because the government was going to be shut down, so they had to fund the government for the next up to September 31st, September 30th. Should I correct myself? Of 2021, the funding for the government, which includes all the entities of the government, parallel to the jurisdiction of the government, which are in business terms or economic terms are called parastatal, meaning they belong to the government, but they are considered outside of the government, like Fannie Mae and Fannie Mac. That's a good example. Right off the top of my head, those are examples that are not part of the government, or the Exim Bank, the Import Export Bank of the United States, is part of the government, but at the same time, it's not like the Department of Commerce or like the Secretary of Agriculture or Department of the Interior or Energy. It's not the same. They are part of the government in an indirect fashion, so to say. So having said all that, trying to get everything straight, and people and a lot of the folks don't understand this. I mean, you guys got to accept it. I don't understand a lot of things that you guys might know. So it works its way all around. Some things that you guys know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an auto mechanic guy, so I know very little about auto mechanics. And there's people who know tremendous amount of auto mechanics without being engineers or anything like that. They just know how to fix cars. They're good with their hands. They're good with their tools. They've been doing this for many years, and now they're experts at this. And even with all the innovation that has taken place, some of these folks are up to date, and they can do all the tasks that are necessary to keep the car running with all the computer chips that are going on in the car. So it's an ongoing process, as you well know, just like myself. You know, economics is my game, politics is my game, business is my game, and everything that revolves around that. Theology, which I learned by myself and learned also through classes and seminars and going to seminaries off and on. It wasn't my overall primary goal to be a theologian. That's why I didn't take it as a college class, or I didn't go to a university that had theology as an option, but because I wanted to learn it on my own and take it as a hobby, which many times hobbies become far more driven than the actual profession the person has. Their hobby seems to take over in many ways the professional skills of the other person, but sometimes they merge. In this case, in my case, they merged. So going forward in our conversation, there's so much to talk about and so little time to talk about it. It would take days, months to exhaust all the information and it's swinging around on a positive note, on a negative note, on an in between note. Have to. There's a lady there that I really sympathize with. She doesn't know me. I don't know her. I just see her TikToks. Who is a English professor, which is young to have a PhD in English, but it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. But nonetheless, she has very good comments with respect to the way uh, people communicate. People are funny how they communicate. That's why psychology is such a well thought out profession at certain levels. So if I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, I'm not really taking that much seriously. I'm kind of like I've got a humanitarian degree. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But it begins to matter a little bit more when you have a master's degree in psychology in whatever field it is. You could have general psychology, clinical psychology, whatever. And then when you get to the PhD level, that becomes serious stuff. That becomes noticeable. So in my case, when a master's degree in economics, master's degree MBA in business, psychology becomes part of us in a way because of consumer behavior and consumer traits and consumer tendencies and the way people act and behave and do things. Those are part of the economic thrust, believe it or not. The way you consume things, the way you like things, the way people come across, the marketing segment of business, the way marketers approach things. All that has to do with psychology, the way the tracking systems, the way Facebook works, the way YouTube works, the way TikTok works. Everything has to do with human behavior. And if we understand that, that's a way to do it. Now, Donald Trump, getting into the subject matter, looks like he picked it up just like I picked up theology. He became a very good, knowledgeable person, astute person, more than anything else, a very astute person on how he did things. That doesn't make him uh, very intelligent. That just makes him very clever. So the words do matter in this case. So he's an astute person who knows how to gamble in many ways. He has many losses. So I don't know where he gets the idea that he's a winner yet. He addresses folks. Let me use this. He addresses people. He addresses folks in an impersonal and personal manner, kind of like this lady who's a professor who talks about uh, different ways of communication. She talked about half truths. You know, she gives an example of of a half truth, the half truth fallacy, the snowflake fallacy. Uh, so on the snowflake fallacy that she gives an example, say, you know, coronavirus uh, has caused a lot of deaths, and then the person across from that counter attacks the person, saying, "Oh, but the flu also kills people. Cancer kills people. Auto kills people. People kill themselves. People suicide themselves." Yeah, well, all that is true, but it doesn't bring any bearing to what the conversation is about, which is about the coronavirus and how much it has damaged society. So it's counterproductive to have a conversation of that sort because you're not actually increasing the knowledge base of something like that. So it's kind of like Jurassic Park. They say, well, we cheated on the DNA string by using frog DNA. So they're all females. Well, that's a fallacy in itself because it's not totally true, just like this lady says. I wish I could honor this lady. I mean, please forgive me, lady, for not knowing your name exactly and just using you as the woman that you are, the professor that you are, college professor. So this lady says it very well. It's a half truth that Jurassic Park deal because they're talking about a strain of DNA and then they're using the other DNA. So they're not really explaining the metamorphosis that takes place in the DNA to create an hermaphrodite, where it has the dinosaurs have two sexes in one, since they're having male female. They both are hermaphrodites. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly. And they breed themselves. So that's why in the movie they find the dinosaur eggs. Moving forward on that analogy, that's exactly how Donald Trump does it. He morphs the things. Well, for example, he says, "Oh, the wash dishwashers, they don't have enough water." You know, what does that have to do with him trying to convey that he's a good leader? It has nothing. But people, and then you have a lot of people from the Appalachians, or many people have dishwashers, and they say, "Yeah, there's not enough water going into the dishwashers." Well, that's not true. I mean, dishwashers use the right amount of water to wash the dishes. Sometimes people don't know how to do it. Sometimes they don't even know how to do it by hand, more or less by using the dishwasher, and they expect that this is to be good because they're not they're rinsed, they're washed and then rinsed, and they leave a flake when they use the wrong soap, and everything has a trick to it, just like the auto mechanics people. Then the other thing is, I mean, give me a break. He's not a gorilla to wash all that hair. He's a man with some hair on his head, and that's about it. Even a woman with more abundant hair can wash her hair with the water that comes out of the shower. So those are fake truths. Those are true fallacious truths, and he wants to get the people enticed in what he's saying. He wants to wrap the people around what he's saying and say, yeah, there's not enough water. Well, how can people know there's enough water? It's something. It's something automatic that people just take for granted. Like walking. How many people are thinking, I'm going to put my left foot first, then my right foot. I'm going to put my right foot first, now my left foot, now my left foot first, now my right foot. How many people say that when they're walking in order to walk? They don't. They don't. They take it for granted. It's something that is automatic. How many take for granted their vision? Are they going to say, I'm going to focus on one letter and then I'm going to focus on the other letter with the other eye? No, they just read, and that's period. So there's many things that people take things for granted that they don't really put their mind to it. It's just a given. The water that comes out of the faucet is a given. They expect a strong stream of water coming out. It's not a waterfall. It's a stream of water coming out. It comes out the same way in one house as it comes in the other house, unless something is broken. As long as it's not broken, it'll come out the same way. It's the same force. It's the same stream. Everything is the same. But we take it for granted. How many people move their hands thinking, oh, I'm going to move this one first and let my fingers fly into the air. Oh, no, I'm going to move this one now. To write, what do I need to do? I need to get my fingers wrapped around the pencil so I can write. Here's the pencil, here's the pen. I'm going to write with the pen. See if I can do it. If I got my fingers right. We're not thinking about it. We just grab it and do it. We learned it and we do it. Riding a bike is the same thing. We get on top of the bike and they taught us how to do it. And then next thing you know, it becomes an automatic reflex. So those automatic reflexes are there. We can't do nothing about it. But unless somebody points it out, and all of a sudden it just sparks like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Oh, you did know that. You just well didn't actually visualize it until somebody brought it up. And those flares, because that's what they are, flares of information make you believe that whoever is saying it has revelations. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a revelation of that nature. It's just something we have not actually paid attention to. We have not been, in technical terms, cognizant of the functions that take place because we do them as a reflex, as an automatic reflex. And there's many things we do as automatic. We get somebody points it out, and we think there's some supernatural individual who is a God has God given qualities that is not true. It's a fallacy. So this has to you guys have to think about it that the person doing it is just using you as a tool. They don't really care about you. Sorry that I have to say this, but it's true. Remember, the truth will set you free. And that's what I hope to accomplish with this video, that the truth will set you free. So the $2,000 was not something that was thought out in the process. So how many have gone to get their driver's license? It's a process. You go from one station to another station, and then you got to take the test, and then you got to go out and drive the car, and you're being evaluated. So it's a process. Same thing here. It's just not, oh, I just thought about it. This is very low. Oh, well, Joe Biden said it and Nancy Pelosi said it. So I'm going to use it. It's plagiarizing. And you know what plagiarizing is? That I take your ideas and make them my own. So if I go up there to West Virginia, to the Appalachian Mountains, and I go over there and I see how you're playing the banjo and I hear your song and I take it without giving you credit and say, oh, well, I saw it from so and so or from this gentleman out there in West Appalachia, in West Virginia. I saw him play the banjo this way, and I thought the tune was good, and I thought the song was good, so I used it. I don't give you. I say if I say, "Oh, I came up with this song and I have this tune that came to my head," I'm giving myself credit for that when it doesn't belong to me. Same with the professor lady in English who came who I saw the TikToks on the half truths and the snow and the piling of snow. It's the same thing. I'm giving her credit for it because she was the one is communicating that, not me. So I give credit to who credit belongs. Huh? Granted, Donald Trump has the astuteness to go out there and position himself in a way that he becomes the centerfold. Well, that's true, but that doesn't make him a true centerfold. It positions him to be in the centerfold, but he is not the centerfold. So you got to be careful on that. How many of you seen Playboy? And then there's a centerfold. That's where I got the word from Playboy. The centerfold girl. Okay, that's a unique girl. That's a beautiful, an outstanding girl, an outstanding woman, should I say? So when somebody positions themselves in a centerfold without being chosen to be the centerfold, are two different things. I position myself in a way that people can recognize me and say, "Oh, look at him here." Yeah, well, look at him, great. But nobody said, "Hey, you come here, stand right there because you are it. You're the man. You're the handsome man. You're the guy who has all the characteristics of what people want to be like. You're the superhero." Nobody said that to me, or nobody said that to him. He himself is doing everything. He buys, or because now he's the president, he can commission things, and it has a slush fund because he does have a slush fund that he can use money at his own discretion. I wish I had that kind of money. I wish you guys had some kind of money like that, a slush fund where you can pay the bills and buy some food and pay the mortgage. That would be nice. But we don't have that luxury. We don't have that luxury to go to a hospital and say, "Hey, I want this kind of doctors to look at me and get me out of this, get some experimental drugs and get all this medication that I can take, all these pills, so I can be viral, so I can have more energy, so I can have more hair, so I can do more things, so I can become more immune to some of these infectious diseases." We don't have that luxury. We just have God in us, and that's more than enough that I can say for some of these rich people who they they boast on themselves. You guys can read about Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible and see about this boastful person, what happened to him. So take this as a learning experience. This video is made for you to think. Stop a minute, smell the roses, smell the coffee, think a little bit, and say, "What is my situation in this? In what's happening right now? Am I caught in the whirlwind? Am I jumping on this bandwagon because I really want to jump on it because there's a benefit for me, or am I just sucked in like a sucker?" Not that I want to offend anybody, but pretty much that's the way things turn out. I've been suckered before myself. I had this situation in the past where somebody said, "Oh, we're going to sell you this cheap, this great TV, and it's inexpensive." Well, it was a stolen TV. Did I buy it? No. Did they take my money? Yes. And was I a sucker? Of course I was. So it's it's something very important to take into consideration that many things that happen sometimes don't happen because we are the brightest persons in the world. So Donald Trump lost the not only he sued uh, through many people, and then he had to file bankruptcy, and he lost Trump University. So the only thing that he has and that he does semi well, can't say he does it in an excellent fashion, but he destroyed the empire of his father. He created another semi empire of swindlers, people who scam people. The Trump University was a big scam. So that's just a taste of what he is and what he does. Now he got to the presidency. Now let me tell you a story just to wrap it up. There's a gentleman who was a drug trafficker or in a drug kingpin. His name was Pablo Escobar in Colombia. Now, take in consideration that I've seen some videos, some YouTube videos like the one I have and the one that I'm doing, and I've seen some TikToks about people quoting Pakistan and some other countries foreign aid that the United States is giving out, and they don't want to give out the stimulus of $2,000. Well, those are all different subjects. It's like the washing machine and the shower and the automobile. All these things are different things. We can't put them all together and create one thing because they're not compatible. And the example of Jurassic Park, those are all different things, but they serve as an example to point out one thing. But the people who are doing this, lady by the name of Rec Flex, who I saw, I mean, the information she's giving, it's a half truth. She's not giving the full picture. So those are things that we have to consider into what we're listening to, and ask ourselves the question: are they giving me the full information? Am I getting the full information on the relief bill? Are they talking about the relief bill or are they talking about the budget bill? Those are two different things. The relief package, which is part of the CARES Act, and the omnibus bill, which is part of the funding for the government, are two different things. They're not intermingled. Now, some of the monies come out that fund the CARES package, stimulus package, relief package, whatever you want to call it. All these names are still under the same heading. The CARES Act might come from they do come from the funding the government, but that has nothing to do with one thing for the other. Now, some of the things that are strategically, let's use that word, and hopefully everybody follows me on strategy that the government uses for these countries. Well, yeah, they try to fund Colombia. Res Flex didn't use the word Colombia, but they use the word Colombia, and there's a provision in the foreign aid for Colombia. And there's always been something in there for Colombia. Why is Colombia so important to the United States? That's the question that you should ask. Not that it's being funded. Why are they funding? Why are they giving this money? What's the purpose behind it? If they say humanitarian purposes, corruption, okay, let's stop a minute and say, okay, let's listen to some of this TikToks. Let's listen to some of this other YouTube videos. Let's listen to some of this coming out in Parler. Listen to the Instagram. Listen to the media. Are we actually the example to the world? Even though we might not be perfect, I mean, we could be quasi perfect. Quasi perfect is better than totally imperfect in an imperfect world. Are we the example to the world saying that we are the least corrupt? I mean, we have corruption, and Donald Trump has just proved that. He proved it. I mean, whether he wanted it to prove it himself, and some people say, well, I mean, he is the corruption himself. I mean, what else does he want to do? He showed us that that the government is corrupt. Well, yeah, because he is corrupt too. They allowed him to be more corrupt, so the government is corrupt because they allowed his corruption to intermingle with the government corruption. So there he is. There it is. He proved that the government is corrupt, being that he is corrupt. So it worked both ways. He himself exposed himself that he's corrupt. So there it is. He's corrupt. And the corruption around him uh, is all part of the same deal. The Pompeo guy and all this other people, the Mnuchin guy, and the Alzar guy, and all this other Betsy DeVos woman, and all this other people. They're all corrupt. They're all corrupt individuals. I mean, it's not something that's going to take place, but it happens that way. So I just want to leave you with that impression that things are going to come across that way. And I want to cut it right there because it's a long conversation. And I want to say Happy New Year to everybody who listens to my video. Happy New Year, and I wish you the best for 2021. Hopefully, things will turn around. Hopefully, a relief package will come across, whatever it's across. But I think the most important that can come across is how labor people are going to be treated, how we, the workers, are going to be treated, how the coronavirus is going to turn around and we're going to defeat the pandemic and things are going to turn around. So, those are things that we must take into consideration that are far more important than having a $2,000 handout. If we got a job that we can survive, if we got good pay that we can survive, if we can turn around and say we don't have to wear a mask anymore, or just on very special occasions that we wear a mask, yeah, that'd be a better thing. If we can get rid of the mask. So those are things that we need to do, and by cooperating with each other, and we'll be able to defeat the virus by cooperating with each other and moving forward on this. So have a happy new year and thank you all.